So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at percentage by mass. It really relates to what we did last time in terms of relative formula mass. And we'll take Mr. Hutton's periodic table here and just pull it down and really talk you through it. But I want to do something slightly different. I really want to talk about how I see calculations and problem solving within science. It's not as simple as, oh, I need a formula. And actually, I find that really dull and boring where it's like, oh, you need to use your formula. Let's write the formula out and sub it in. It is how a lot of very, very good students work. And I do have students who work like that. It's just not the way I like to work because, to be honest, I'm going to be really frank, I don't like memorizing formulas. I like to think. All right, so this is called percentage by mass. And there are two key words in this: percentage and mass. And you guys are a bit young, but when I get year 11 or 12, definitely year 12, doing maths and things, I tell them, what is a percentage? And they give me all sorts of answers. It's something out of 100, rah, 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 and all these kind of things. But the truth is, it is a proportion. And I'm going to use some language here. And, it's going to make some sense. I hope it makes some sense. And it's a proportion, or another way of looking at it is a ratio. What do I mean by this? It means, well, how much of something have I got out of 100? And that's literally the words I've got in my head. Like, how much of something have I got out of 100? All right. And that's really important. It's a really important idea. And what do I mean by this? So when I look at question 1, and it says, what is the percentage by mass of hydrogen H2O? Well, what I'm really asking is, well, what proportion of mass is hydrogen? All right. So let's get rid of all that complex languages. Let's really think about what happens deeply in my head. Well, what am I actually saying? Well, what I'm saying is, of the total stuff I've got, how much is hydrogen? All right, I'm going to write that down in the kind of informal language that is actually quite accurate. Of the stuff I have, how much is hydrogen? All right, so that's the first thing I ask for. Of the stuff I've got, how much is hydrogen? Well, if I look at the first one, which is H2O, well, I've got 2 hydrogens. All right. And for me, a fraction isn't like what you did in primary school. And that's one thing I don't like about primary schools is the majority of people teaching fractions in primary schools don't love maths. I'm not blaming them. It's like me in primary school trying to teach English. I'm not going to do it because I hate it. I don't hate storytelling. I don't hate creative writing. I hate spelling and grammar. Right? I just do, and I'm going to be really honest. It's not something I want to do. It's not something I would do in my pastime. But I would problem solve in science. So what I've got is 2 hydrogens out of, all right, and that's what this fraction line means: out of or divided by. But I prefer out of. 2 hydrogens out of a total of 2 hydrogens plus 1 oxygen. Right? Okay. So now I'm going to be a bit clearer. Well, it's just, I said, of how much of the stuff have I got? How much is hydrogen? Of the stuff I have, how much is hydrogen? Well, I'm going to add something to the end of this by mass, and I'm going to look at mass because the key word they said is mass. And last time we looked at relative formula mass. So what's the mass of hydrogen? Well, it's 2 times its relative atomic mass. How do I know that? Well, go to the periodic table. You always have one. I don't care if you're doing a, year 9 problem, a year 12 problem, a year 13 problem, or undergrad university problem. You always have a periodic table. I want the big number at the top. That's my relative atomic mass. The keyword is mass. And it's 1 gram. Well, we're going to leave the gram for the moment. I'm just going to say it's 1 gram. So it's going to be 2 times my relative formula mass of hydrogen, which is 2 times 1. Divided by, well, I've got another 2 hydrogens. Well, again, that's 2 times 1. And I'm going to put that in, well, no, I'm not going to put it in brackets yet. I'll show you why I would put it in brackets. 2 times 1. Plus 1 oxygen. Well, what's oxygen? Well, oxygen's 16. All right, plus 16. So what does that give me? Well, if I look at it, 2 times 1 is 2. divided by, well, I've got this really long calculation. I've got to do my times first. So whatever I've got in terms of no matter how many things I've got, I put them in brackets. Not because I have to, because it's easier for me to see because that's hydrogen. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus 16. Always whack this in the calculator. This gives me 2 over 18. All right. This is chemistry. It's not paper 1 maths at GCSE where you don't get, a calculator. I don't care if you simplify it. We've got 2 over 18. 2, and this means, as I said, the fractional line means 2 divided by 18. But it asks for the percentage. This gets me nearly completely done. All right. I'm happy, but I want its percentage. So the last thing I'm going to do is pop that in my calculator and times it by 100. Because this is the proportion out of 100. So I'm going to times it by 100. That's it. I'm done. All right. That's how I would do it. Okay. Now, before I go right, we did it last week. Let's get started. Things to remember. All right. This are both capital letters. So this is sulfur and this is oxygen. You look on your periodic table. You don't be like me. Just get it out of your head. I've done it a million times and I make it look easy, but it's not. You go, right, that's one big S. So that's the symbol S. So you go to your periodic table and you go S. It's sulfur. Okay, fine. So now I'm going to pick another one. This is big B, little r. This makes that one symbol. This is big M, little g. That's one symbol. So if you have a capital letter followed by a lowercase letter, that means that's one symbol. So this is Mg. And we go all the way on a periodic table. We look there, and there's Mg, magnesium. Okay. The other thing to remind you, what does this mean, SO4 with a bracket 3 outside? It means I've got one S, I've got 4 oxygens, I worked it out, then I times it all by 3, I times everything in the bracket by 3. Right, so I've recorded this. Oh, 7 minutes, I like that, that's not too long. So we'll stop.